Hello, everyone, and welcome to the As Above, So Below show here on the Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. My name's Meg Moonbeam, and I'm here with the one and only Ashala Yardley. How are you doing, Ashala?
I'm very well, thank you, Meg. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I hope that my connection is going to be okay, you guys. We were just having a little bit of a technical issue right before we went live, so praying to the technical gods that we'll be okay with this Gemini overload, information overload. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to get into the current energies with the tarot and the astrology. And time is feeling so weird, Ashala. Are you feeling that too? Because there's part of me that feels like we just did an As Above, So Below yesterday. And then there's another part of me that feels like it was a month ago.
Absolutely. I just had a memory of 2 days ago because I just had technically 2 days off, but they were chock-a-block full with stuff.
Yeah.
And I had this memory. I was like, oh, yeah, I had this little nap out on our front porch. And gosh, that was so lovely. That way back when that happened. And I was like, I felt like honestly about 2 weeks ago. And then I was like, oh, no, that was like 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh.
So I really feel that. Yeah,
Yeah.
strange feeling.
Yeah, very strange. So we hope time is not too strange for all of you out there. And thank you so much for joining us, whether you're live or in the replay. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We've got the Rumble almost at 80,000 followers. So that is awesome. Thank you guys for supporting us. And if you'd like to have a personal astrology reading or psychic tarot reading with either Ashala or myself, you can check those out at consultations.beyondmystic.net. The link is below. How have the readings been going lately, Ashala? Have you been noticing any themes with people, any reoccurring questions?
Yeah, it does feel like people are extra sort of, I want to say, confused or disoriented by all the different
Mhm.
options, all the different narratives, really having some challenge knowing where to focus. And so, what we've been really working with is, just as we were coming on, I was hearing the energy is about stabilization,
Yeah,
finding the areas that you can stabilize when it gets like this. Like, we talked a lot last week about a typical Gemini season, and then that's just kind of on steroids this year, right?
right.
And we
Yeah.
just had our new moon in Gemini. What was that? Like
Yes.
not even
Yesterday.
48 hours. Yeah, 24
Yeah.
hours ago. So
Yeah.
um it feels it has that energy of just things are shaking. There's a lot going on,
Mm,
right? And
mhm.
interesting, speaking about that shaking, I was doing a reading for a client in California,
Yeah.
and she was, of course, inquiring about all these tremors and all, of course, then the media just pushes and pushes and ramps it up and ramps it up and
Right.
gets everybody worried. And
Yeah.
what I was getting from her guides was that we are having a huge effect on calming this whole energy on the planet. Everything from the politics in the Middle East, the earth going through its growing pains, growing with
Mm,
us through all of this incredible change. And
mhm.
what I was hearing is that people like us, who are these incredible spiritual warriors, have potency beyond our imagination. We have
Wow.
the ability, as we know in our own relationships, right? What we bring to the
Mhm.
table, how we show up, how we hold space, the energy that we respond to life with, that creates ripples out into the universe. So I was getting that there's so many people holding this beautiful, gentle energy, allowing the
Wow.
earth to release gradually, to not have to take us through a great big cataclysm,
Right.
right? And so
Mhm.
the messages I've been getting this week is that we are so powerful. And even if we're still a minority, which I'm uncertain, I mean, it does seem, according to people's stories of their immediate community, friends, and family, that there's still a lot of people asleep. But what
Mhm.
I've been hearing and what I heard in a reading earlier today is that our potency is like times 10. So one of us
Wow.
in terms of what we can hold in frequency and in creating, calmness and going forward with integrity and our hearts open. We have so much power to change the way
Mm.
this all goes. So that's what's been coming up.
Wow, that is so powerful. And that is actually quite synchronistic for me, Ashala, because Jens the other day did an interview on his channels with a mind control survivor. And it was his first time doing a public interview like that, and with a lady called Max Sloan. And in part of it, she said exactly what you just said, that these elites, parasitic people that are losing their power, whatever you want to call them, they do all these control mechanisms because they know how powerful we are. And they want to keep us in a state where we don't remember how powerful we are. The light is actually way more powerful than the dark. We can be easily manipulated because we can be more open-hearted and giving. But funny, literally word for word, kind of what you just said there is what I heard Max Sloan say the other day. And I think that that's a really important piece for us to be understanding right now, is we are so much powerful than we have been taught. We're magical, we're psychic, we're manifesting our reality, with every thought, with every word. Our energy is powerful, and it's sounding like from what you're getting, it's getting more and more amplified as well.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
So cool. So thank you guys all so much for joining us. And also want to mention as we get started that our lovely Janine has her medicine cards course currently at 50% off on the Beyond Mystic Academy. Yay, yay, yay. Do you ever use the medicine cards, Ashala?
I do. I'm looking over at I don't have them right here on my shelf at the moment, but yeah, I use them regularly. Do you, Meg?
Yeah, me too. I have them. I absolutely love the animal totems, and not just the cards, but also paying attention to the animals that show up, every day. Is that something that you like to do too, Ashala, like paying attention to the medicine behind the animals?
Yeah, I really, really love that. And,
Yeah.
it's something in the beginning when you're first doing it, it seems like such a rare thing, like, wow,
Mhm.
I saw this animal or I saw this. I like to look for where it's not quite in context. It isn't where you would expect it to be, right? So
Right.
it almost feels like it's there just to give you a message. And then, when you look up or take Janine's course and look up what the meanings of these different animals are according to different traditions around the world, it's incredible because it almost feels so relevant in that moment. It's like, that's exactly what I was either thinking about or what I'm going through. And
Mhm.
it's really, they're really our allies.
Yeah, they really are our allies, and there's so much support coming from every single direction for sure. So I was watching your weekly psychic tarot show on Saturday, Ashala, and there was some really good cards that came through for us for this week in your zodiac spread. Is that the right spread name, the zodiac spread
Yeah.
that you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the zodiac wheel spread, that's how I term it, and yeah, powerful, beautiful. I've been very encouraged by how many, like, I keep comparing where we're at right now and the cards that are coming up with, 2 years ago. And if you go
Mm,
back, like, on my YouTube channel, I was doing these weekly forecasts 2 years ago, and there were months, Meg, where it
wow.
was scary. Like, the cards
Really?
were, oh, yeah, it was like, these last 3 or 4 months, they just are, knock on wood that it stays like that, but
Yeah.
it feels like what I'm being shown is that we are in a very different place than what the outer looks like. It's almost like we are in that cleansing process at the point where everything's just coming out and it
Mm,
looks horrible, but we're actually getting better
right.
because the cards generally have been better and better and just so
Wow.
positive for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, we've had the odd week in there that wasn't so ideal, but
Right.
more than average, they've been very good.
I love that, and that makes sense with the astrology that we're in right now being in Gemini season, which I really do feel like out of all our astrological sun sign seasons of this current natural year, this is the most positive, actually, and I think June is gonna be the most positive month. We have a lot of really nice aspects. We have Jupiter entering his exalted sign of Cancer soon, so I'm so excited for that. But it definitely feels lighter in the air. I've been feeling that ever since the sun went into Gemini. And you've got your birthday happening this week. Happy
Yep,
almost
day af
birthday.
day after tomorrow.
Yep. Is it on Thursday, right?
Thursday, the 29th, yeah.
Wow, so cool. So on your birthday, there's going to be an exact, I'll show you the chart here. This is for today, but on Thursday, there's going to be exact Sun conjunct Mercury. So what we call a Mercury cazimi. Cazimi is when a planet is in exact conjunction to the sun. So cool. You're going to have that a part of your solar return birthday chart for the year. Mercury at home in Gemini conjunct the sun. So that's truth, clarity, common sense, Gemini overload, insights, downloads. That's awesome for, I think, what you do, Ashala. That's very positive.
Thank you, Meg. I look forward to that. So what that indicates, if it is part of my, solar return, is that
Yeah.
I can have that throughout this year as well.
Yes. Right.
Mm,
Yeah,
interesting.
so positive communication, which you're already a very good communicator for sure, and
Thank
very creative and like a lot of ideas, all kinds of ideas and downloads and channeling, which you already do. Yeah, people are saying in the chat, "Happy birthday, Ashala."
thank you,
Awesome.
everyone. Thank you so much.
Yay. So, yeah, would you like to do a collective reading on us as our woo community, maybe what the universe wants us to know at the moment?
Yeah, and maybe even like, can we look a little bit at where we've just been, like this new
Yeah.
moon in Gemini,
Mhm.
and sun and new moon in Gemini, and just all that Gemini.
Definitely. Yeah, all that Gemini.
All that Gemini. Yeah, I have to say that even for me, it's been a little much.
Yeah.
I've been a little like, "Okay, brain, that's enough now. You got
Mhm.
we gotta go to sleep. You gotta
Oh
stop."
my god.
It's like, "No, no, just one more idea, just one more."
Just one more. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Okay, so for all of us, yeah, right? It's
wow.
exactly what I just said. 10 of Swords, like, putting the brain to rest. Well, there's what we have the opportunity to see here is there's a lot that can't really be solved just with the mind. And this is
Mm,
interesting because I do say this often. I'm really grateful, Meg, that I am a
mhm,
Gemini that's learned about how to balance all that mental activity and all that logistical strategic thinking with
mm,
divination and intuition,
yeah,
because it's fascinating to me how often, I mean, I research things, I gather evidence, and I make analysis based on a lot of information, and
right.
I'm not always right with my mind.
Mhm, mm,
When I don't imply my intuition and my mind together, I sometimes I really call it wrong. So
wow.
even if things look, that's something I've learned as a Gemini over the years, even if I could, like, in a court of law, prove beyond a shadow of a doubt my perspective, it sometimes is not accurate. Like, there's
Mm,
more to it. And therefore, it's important that we don't just use our minds to solve the very complex
right.
reality we're in right now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when what we want, here we're getting back into that, the ontology and our frequency calling things to us, because the Six of Pentacles is reciprocity. It's the balance of giving and receiving. And
Mhm,
if we think about what we're grateful for, if we think about what we love about ourselves and our lives and what we want to enhance and add more of, instead of looking at what we're worried about, what we're afraid of. This is going to bear very good fruit, especially riding out the rest of this Gemini season. This
Mm,
is, like right into the end of June, and it feels like you can really accelerate your ability to create more of what you love by being very grateful.
mhm.
This this is a card of, reciprocity, balance, and gratitude. Yep, and look at that.
Wow.
Wow. So what this Gemini season might do for all of us, and this recent new moon in Gemini where I think a lot of people just went, "Oh my gosh, my brain is springing."
Mhm.
It kinda shows us there gets to be a point where you can't rationalize, you can't figure this out with your mind. And it's important to then go into, again, like I said, the practical things, the things that you have influence over, and really showing up with wanting to increase the things that you're grateful for.
Right.
And the rest, it feels like spirit will deliver it. And what is
Mm.
spirit? Is it in the form of the white hats or our, off-world allies? Is
Yeah.
it our future selves, our higher selves, our spiritual allies? It's all of that, right?
Mhm.
You will be gifted. Um, so almost the energy of looking towards the things that you want to increase instead of focusing on the things you want to decrease.
Mm. Wow. That's powerful, and our goes back to what we were talking about at the start of the show, how powerful our minds are, our energy, where we direct our energy, right? So focusing on moving forward, and that's so interesting, Ashala, because I had, this morning in Belgium time, I did, like, my new moon kind of ritual. And I actually also redid my altar behind me, which I hadn't done for really long time. I just came into kind of my office room, meditation room, and I was like, I need to change the altar. That's been the same for like 2 years. What the heck is wrong with me? And I moved some stuff around and I moved the energy and really felt that power of where we direct our thoughts, where we direct our written intentions, where when we journal, when we believe in ourselves, that's part of that power that whoever they is, has been trying to program out of us, right? They want us to be in the past because in the past we've been enslaved, right? And there's been some really yucky stuff going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And, like, even if, like, I hear a lot of people in the truther community saying, "Oh, we've seen this playbook before, and we know what happens when this and this and this happens." And it's like,
Right.
yeah, agreed. And
Yeah.
even if that is the agenda, even if that is the attention, even if that, I still think there are some aspects out there that are dangerous. And
Mm,
we're not out of the woods entirely yet. And so
yeah.
even if there is still danger out there and in here, right?
Yes.
Um, it's not like we just bypass that, but we're not going to, like, the less we bite the hook, and the more we really become resilient and
Mhm.
not buy into that. Like, I've actually heard spiritual teachers in the past that have said if you even give it like a little bit of your concern, it's like unraveling you, right? It's
Wow.
like you have to be really fierce and be like,
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's almost like if you can reframe, even if you have concern, reframe it with a place of, you know what, like, this too shall pass. And
Mhm.
what's important is how you show up and what you do from here on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, and I feel like that also ties into our current astrology. This is our chart for today, and we're now in the 3rd day of Saturn now being in the sign of Aries. So we've got Saturn and Neptune in Aries together, conjunct, it's not going to be exact until February 2026, but we have not had Saturn and Neptune together since 1703 in the sign of Aries. So this is totally new territory. This is totally new energy. There's a lot to this, but right away, I just want to say, Ashala, because it relates to what you just got in the cards, how important it is where we direct energy, because Saturn, Granddaddy Saturn, as I like to call him, is the ruler of karma and justice, right? And reality checks. I always think of Saturn as like the old grandpa of the planets in our solar system, paying attention to every move we make, and there's repercussions for every move we make. Saturn is at fall position in Aries. So he does not like to be in Aries. Even though it's his fall position, I actually think that this is going to be quite positive for humanity. And I'm not just saying that because I feel like we need this more of this Aries energy to be in the present moment, to be pioneering, to be bold, fearless, action oriented. But I feel like with Saturn and Aries, Saturn at fall in Aries, Saturn is going to be more tempted, isn't the right word, but I feel like more of a um, proclivity to give us heavy hammers if we're being out of alignment. That's what I'm feeling.
Mm.
Because Saturn is like not the punishment. Sometimes he does punish us to get the reality check, but the really intense reality check, the really intense hammer of like instant karma. You know, have you guys ever done
Mm.
something? I've had this happen several times. You done something which wasn't in alignment with you, and right away there's a smackerel that comes forward.
Mhm.
That's what this kind of feels like to me. It's a
Wow.
lot of other things as well, but this is a very big energy shift we're in, and as we're coming into the summer of 2025, all the outer planets now are now in different signs except for Uranus. Uranus is going to move into Gemini July 7th. So from July 7th onwards this summer, it's totally new energy, new territory, new beginnings. Saturn in Aries feels very Wild West to me. It's like Saturn and Neptune conjunct is the dissolving of our structures of life, society, and the matrix, right? And so there's totally new beginnings being created where if we're in our power and we believe in ourselves, we can literally create, whatever world timeline we want to be on. And I feel like there's going to be very cool opportunities, Aries, new beginnings for all of us if we're open to that in this transit.
I just love that. I mean, the Wild West, isn't that
Yes.
fascinating, right? That really resonates for me. That when I think about that, I mean, yeah, it does feel reckless. There does feel like some aspect of lawlessness or things that are out of control. And
Right.
yet, it's also an opportunity for people to really like live their truth, right?
Yes.
And go like live beyond these systems, these old, like,
Mm,
look at that, the old systems of the old world. And the Wild West was like breakthrough,
yeah.
break out of that.
Mhm.
So, we also have to be careful because a lot of deception can happen in those
Mm,
breakthrough times. So,
right.
but if we know ourselves and practice with between our logic and our rational mind and our intuition and developing our intuitive skills, wow, we're really beautifully set to go forward with this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I've just, like, been getting this visual of the Wild West so strong ever since Saturn went into Aries, and I haven't personally necessarily felt the shift that much other than today. I feel like I'm starting to feel it and get really inspired by, in my personal life, making possibly some really big, bold, kind of Aries moves. I'm considering moving to the whole other side of Canada, Jens and I, from where we had planned, which feels very pioneering. And there's also like a Wild West energy to that. And it feels like there's a lot of people, whether it's to Alberta or other parts of the world, it feels like a lot of people are in this pioneering, being open to a whole new way of possibly doing things,
Mm.
right?
And part of what allowed the Wild West to become what it became is that people were willing to be outside of their comfort zone, and they
Yes.
were willing to let go of predictability. They were willing to go with more with like they brought their energy with them, and come what may, they were showing up with their full selves, you
Mm.
know? And that if there's a huge sense of relief and adventure on that
Mhm.
Wild West horizon, right? It's like
Yeah.
anything can happen, but you can also make
Right.
a lot happen. You can become a self-made person and create a whole new life for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
Deb hi, Deb says, "The Wild Wild West probably had a past life during that time."
Oh.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like I might have had a past life during that time too. John says, "Might not be Canada when you get there, Meg." Well, I saw let me see if I can bring this up here. Another statement from Trump today
Uh-huh.
saying okay, which he doesn't okay, maybe this is BS, but he tends to be telling the truth if he says that somebody said something, in particular a world leader. And I saw this on Instagram. I can't find it on X, but I saw that he said supposedly that Canada is considering becoming the 51st state. So he said, based on talks that he's been having with some of the officials, they're considering it. Very, very
Mhm.
interesting. It's very, and that's just one part of the world. We know not all of you are from Canada, the US, the region that we're from, but things are changing, totally new beginnings. And it also feels to me the Saturn and Aries energy like more alive, more energy. We're going to be more in the present moment, which I'm so excited by because with all the Pisces we've been in, Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, it's been very la la land and very confusing and not very grounded. So I feel like we're going to get really grounded with this transit. Would you like to pull some cards, Ashala, on all of us as a collective? And maybe if you want to, we could go through each of the sign groups as well in a bit. But for all of us in general, for this Saturn and Aries transit that we're in from 2025 to 2028.
Wow. So 3
Yeah.
whole years.
Yes. And it's very special because the beginning of it, Saturn and Neptune in conjunction. So Saturn and Neptune working together.
Now what does that usually portend, Meg?
Well, Neptune is the stronger planet because Neptune is actually more forward than Saturn, and Neptune is about things dissolving and no boundaries. Saturn is the boundaries. So it's a ending, and the exact conjunction will be at 0 degrees, the first degree, in Aries, the first sign. We haven't had that since the end of Babylonian times. It'll be exact February 2026. So them coming together at that degree and that sign in alignment with all the prophecies and everything, it's really the start of our new world, if you will.
Wow.
It's a
So
very big deal.
February 2026.
February, I believe it's 19th, 2026.
So that's right after in Chinese astrology, we will have just the early February, we will have just gone into the year of the fire horse.
Oh my
And
God, I
the
just got
fire
chills.
horse is the year where you hear the stories that in, ancient China, they did not want a girl that was born in a fire horse year. In fact, sometimes they did bad things
Oh my
when girls
gosh.
were born in a fire horse year. Yeah, because they were so like individual, sovereign, strong-willed, like you couldn't force them into anything. They were
Wow.
very radical. So, yeah. So the fire horse in particular is probably the most radical of all. So the fire horse only comes around once every 60 years, and
Wow.
it's definitely the most radical. So yeah,
That's wild.
that makes
And
sense that we're looking at the same thing in Western astrology for next February and the start of, yeah, a real
and isn't
new.
that yeah, and isn't it interesting horses are connected to the Wild West as well?
Yes.
So interesting.
You just can't make this stuff up, can
No.
you? Okay, so huh. Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Okay. Um, let's put it like this. So starting off, this starts off really good. So how long is it in total?
About
3
3
years.
years.
3 years,
Yeah.
and it starts in February?
Uh, Saturn just entered Aries on Saturday.
Okay,
But the conjunction between Saturn and Neptune, it's
right.
happening now, but it's not exact till February.
Okay. So it's definitely going to 3 of Wands is, the explorer. It has that pioneering energy to it, so it's going to be
Mhm,
stirring things in the beginning. Um, and then it's going to, activate memories. It feels like when I look at this in relation to these other 2 cards, um, it feels as though this is about we're going to be stirred up by that energy,
mhm,
and it's going to bring up things from the past, memories, things that we want to like integrate. And like, this card often has to do with our health. It
hmm,
has to do with our overall well-being. Like, it's a card where it indicates that we need to take a pause and integrate this information or this new energy that's come in.
mhm,
Um, and it this feels like if we don't do that, we will end up kind of stuck. It'll we
mm.
could get kind of in this yeah, almost like on repeat or something
Wow.
of the past. So I feel like in our community, people are going to do I'm trying to get this underneath, like, "Goodbye,
Yeah,
goodbye, get you out of there."
yeah.
It could feel like we won't know what to do with this
Mm,
information. We'll
mhm,
feel, again, just like we are right now, it could be a little more of this where we're like, we we see, like, as you're saying, things are brought up from the past
mhm.
or stirred up, and
Wow.
some people won't know what to do with that. I feel like a lot of our community, I'm gonna pull one more card and
Yeah.
lay it down to see. Yeah, it's gonna feel like some people will know what to do with that and some people won't. And it may not appear really clear, like this is the solution. This is the way. We might have
Mhm.
to have a couple of plans. And I've been saying that for, gosh, probably 4 or 5 years, since the 2020 chaos, right? I've been saying
Mhm.
I keep seeing that it will be really helpful to have a couple of different home bases, like
Yeah.
home away from home, and
Right.
a couple of different options in terms of your livelihood or how you invest your money, or, like, just to stay flexible, because it could be that some people will just want to really hunker down and um, try to not let anything change, but that doesn't feel like the best approach. The best approach feels like that
Mm.
you would have some flexibility and maybe a couple of options on the table,
Right.
because it
Wow.
might not immediately be obvious how to navigate. Does that make sense with what you know
That
about
makes
these energies?
Yeah, Ashala, that makes total sense because what I didn't say yet is, Saturn is most unstable in Aries. This is not a stable energy. It's very,
Mhm.
kinda 2 of Pentacles, maybe even, like, 8 arms with the Pentacles. There's a lot up in the air, there's a lot of potentials, it's not stable, things are still being wrung out yet. So I love what you just said there about having the options, and okay, this may sound weird, but okay, we're in the woo-woo community, so it's not that weird. I'm getting, like, intuitively right now, I'm feeling a woman from the Wild West times. Interesting, like, there's a spirit here with us, and she's sharing about the need to get disconnected as possible from technology to be grounded during these times. She's saying it was actually easier for them back then because they didn't have as many distractions and the social media and the technology. They were more embodied when there was kind of this pioneering energy.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
don't know who this lady is, but she looks very well dressed. So maybe she was someone of a prominent nature, kind of saying, get wild, get rooted, get, disciplined, Saturn, around your health and disciplined around being in the present moment, Aries, because that'll help us get through this.
That sounds awesome to me. And you are right about the technology where, what I've been hearing. And in the last, actually, I'm doing an interview later today
Mhm.
on my channel with
Oh,
somebody
cool.
about, what's happening. Unfortunately, part of the big, beautiful bill looks like it's going to give carte blanche to the AI designers. And it
Mm,
just, I'm in so many minds, so many good
yeah,
Gemini minds about AI. Like, I really am not a purist in the sense anymore. I used to be, but a purist of like, we shouldn't have it.
yeah.
I can see that it's going to have a really significant role in opening our minds for one, like,
Mhm.
I'm like, cool, everyone can ask their whatever chat GPT questions and they will
Yeah.
be able to get instant research and downloads about a lot of stuff and they'll just get really educated. Like, I love that, right? And I do love
Mhm.
that people, even having like if we're designing letters or work projects or whatever, and it's like when it lays it out for us, it's like we can look and go, wow, that's a really smart way to do it, I'm going to remember that. But to become dependent on it and to give the AI carte blanche to just run every part of our lives, to pull us
Mhm.
more and more into digital and out of 3D and out of the physical,
Yeah.
like, that to me is we're going to need to be very like this, right?
Mm.
Like, it won't be one or the other. We'll need to
Mm.
figure out how to balance both. So I think that's really powerful that your lady there came
Yeah.
in and said technology.
Yeah. And I don't know who this lady is, but I just typed into Google turn of the century woman and she's kind of dressed like that, but more older, like more back in the 1800s, but kind of looks like that. And as soon as I brought up the AI, Ashala, I got chills all over my whole body that I think that's specifically what she's referring to. We're already so kind of connected and almost hijacked in a way. I don't like using that word, but it's true. Many of us are so attached and kind of hijacked in a way to the internet, to the social media, that if you get that Saturnian discipline now, right as we're at the start of this Saturn in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius, okay, Pluto is giving power to the AI and the technology. Get disciplined around your relationship to technology, will be able to navigate the AI because that's, yes, as you said, Ashala, there's so much kind of amazing things that can blossom from the AI, but overall, being addicted to it or being hijacked from it, which I don't think most people in our community will, but it's similar to, and sorry, I'm talking in different directions because I'm picking up the energy, but it's similar to the smartphones. Okay, we're just going to give this over here to you. And oh, it's just to be able to call people when you're not at home. Okay, turned into there's an app for everything on the smartphones and people are addicted to it. What's
It's
the
true.
AI going to turn into?
Yeah, yeah, and I like to say as well, I believe it's going to start like beautiful, like as it should,
Mhm.
right? Like it's a great tool.
Yeah.
However, like so many other things, right? You get used to something and then, oh, the bag of chips gets a little less full, right? I mean, that's
Right.
not really an analogy, but you get addicted to whatever the thing is, and then they start pulling it back. Oh, it's poor, poor, poor quality. Okay. And we're slowly dumbing down because we don't remember how to do our own
Right.
analysis or do our
Yeah.
own research. So um it's to me, it's kind of like training wheels. We don't want to leave them on permanently because so many
Mhm.
people for decades I've been hearing this. This is about stimulating our memory of the technology we have inside, that we
Mm.
can actually answer all these questions. We can
Right.
like literally open our mouths and dictate like brrr, like automatic writing. We have so
Yeah.
much technology inside ourselves that we're not using because we're not using our whole brain. We're not using our all of our potency, our
Mm,
intuition, our whole brain intelligence and emotional intelligence and so on. So yeah, I feel as though it's a stimulus, but boy, oh boy, it could be people could get super hooked with it.
right, and I'm already seeing it, actually. There's a lady, I won't say who her name is, but there's a lady who does a podcast that I love to listen to, and a couple weeks ago, she was talking about how when she goes before she goes to bed, she has full-on conversations with AI, and I thought to
Oh,
myself, "What the he" I never even thought to do that, number 1. I wouldn't wanna do that. Number 2, why are people doing is that happening maybe more than I thought it was happening? Like,
well, I
conversation.
had a weird thought last week. I was actually out walking and
Yeah,
I was thinking about how many, and I was telling you that unfortunately we had a relative pass. My daughter's
right.
grandfather passed last week in his home, and he was in his, mid late 80s and
Mhm.
lived alone. And it was just very sad to think that he spent a lot of time alone. And I was thinking about, wow, you could see how, especially for this upcoming generation that are more tech savvy, like having an AI. And I saw this thing that looked like an AI robot dog, and I was like, oh no, like
Mm,
where
oh
people
my
could
god.
have like how they have companion pets, and they could
Mhm.
have like a companion that literally talks to them and knows their stories and asks them pertinent questions and gives them feedback, and like we
Mm,
could see that this could really do some weird stuff with our ability to bond and form relationships with each other and have natural relationships. So, I don't have an answer of
mm,
where we draw the line. I think we're gonna need to have a lot of conversations about this in the future. But,
yeah,
you can see there's so much need for humanity right now, Meg. There is so many people are struggling and suffering and alone, and it would be just like an easy, quick fix remedy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy that, Pluto in Aquarius, okay, because Pluto is the shadow side of life, okay? We went through, and some of you may already know this, in January 2020, Pluto and Saturn in an exact conjunction, similar to what's going on with Saturn and Neptune right now, in Capricorn at a Capricorn degree. So 2 malefic planets in Capricorn at a Capricorn degree. And what do we have? The pandemic, total Capricorn, the dark side control, and Pluto was strengthening it, the most intense moment of our lives. We're lucky with this Pluto and Aquarius transit that there's not super adverse aspects going on. So that makes me happy as a Western astrologer that okay, Pluto's going to reveal the dark side. We're going to go through it. We're going to see some really freaky freaking things and experiments and undoing, but it's not going to be like a total AI takeover where we're all going to complete. It's not going to be a 2020 situation or an end of days, but it's still going to be a little bit gnarly Pluto because whatever sign Pluto's in, he reveals that area. And we go through the
Mhm.
shadow, we go through the dark night of the soul through that area.
Right. And so, as much as it can feel horrific, everybody, I feel like we need to kind of get this just like we did with the pandemic. We need to get
Yeah,
this out in the open, right?
yeah.
Like we need all these weird thoughts and ideas to come out in the open
Mhm.
so we can see what we're dealing with, and then people can weigh in and go, okay, that's too far. We're drawing the
Yeah,
line there. And I feel like at the same time, and I'm curious, Meg, to see if there's evidence of this in the astrology,
yeah.
because my suspicion is at the same time that we're having that push, we are
Mm,
also having a push around awakening our natural technology,
yeah.
our intuition, our
Mhm,
spiritual
mhm.
relationship to source. Like I think people are activating metaphysically and spiritually,
Mhm.
So won't that be an interesting sort of contrast going on at the same time? Is there evidence of that in astrology in these times?
There's Yes, and actually what I'll do to show you something cool is actually share my astrology program. Just one second here, guys, because this is fascinating. This is where I nerd out with the astrology. So, yeah, Saturn, and sorry, I can't close in when I bring up my astrology program direct, you guys, but Saturn and Neptune in Aries is the new beginning and structure, Aries, of the spirituality, the light workers, the people that aren't going to go into kind of that, transhuman timeline. And then what's the other thing I wanted to show you? I think this is 2027. Okay, wait a second. Let me bring this up. No, this is 2030. 2030. Okay, interesting. A year where those elites losing their power, that's what I like to call them. They're obsessed with that year, right? We hear Agenda 2030, they talk about 2030. In 2030, and sorry, you guys, I can't close up, but where my mouse is moving is highlighting the South Node, which represents release, the lunar South Node, and Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, timelines, quantum physics, realities and dimensions, conjunct in Gemini. So to me, 2030 is a cutoff point where the timelines really diverge and people, and this is my current astrological theory, and we really see, okay, we don't have as much of this weird stuff going on anymore. Like, because if you look at the world right now in 2025, and it's been like this for a while, we're so divided. We're
Mhm,
so divided,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
There's people like us that are spiritually expanding and we're waking up to what's going on and we're not perfect and we're not better than other people, but we're blossoming and we're awakening. And then there's other people completely brainwashed. And I hate to use that word, but it's true.
Mhm,
Programmed and brainwashed by the matrix,
mhm.
right? This to me feels like I just hear like intuitively a cutoff point where we really boop, kind of like I see that Hopi prophecy. You know that Hopi
Mhm.
prophecy, Ashala, where the
Yes.
it's like together and then boop, and it cuts off. Does that make sense?
It totally does. Yeah, it really does. And if that would make sense as to why they were so obsessed with that date, because
Yeah.
I feel as though for them, that's the end goal would to be to have the majority of us completely, locked into their system,
Mhm.
um, in the like virtual realm, in the AI realm, so that we can be monitored and directed and on and on and
Mhm.
on, right? And it's like, so because they probably can see that after that, it's going to be really hard to pull us
Yeah,
on track.
I think
So
so.
if you think about it that way, people, we really only have, like, we've been through 5 years of this already.
Mhm.
Now, I know some of you are like, are you kidding me? I'm not talking about a repeat of the last 5 years. What I'm saying is, like, we really grow this, in this Wild West energy of let's go
Yes.
and start building new earth. Let's go start, get off
Mhm.
grid, get off the financial grid, get off the medical grid, get off of,
Mhm.
as many of these grids as we can, start doing our own projects, our own gatherings, our own, communities and shared, barter exchange networks and everything, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, because the more of us that are living, you know, beautifully without all of
Yes.
this stupidity, it's
Yep.
like, who needs it, right? And so by that time, it feels like, and we just need to keep putting spanners in their, their timeline agenda. Like, just slow it down, because we get to that point, it will hit such a critical mass
Mhm.
that there will be absolutely no stopping it. And I know, um, all of us, right? Like High and Penny Kelly and Janine and myself and you, like, we've all been saying
Mhm.
we can see that we're going to get through this. Like, all the
Oh, yeah.
spiritual leaders that I follow, they all say the same thing. We're going to get through this.
Mhm.
However, we all also say, yeah, but we are the ones that are going to get us through this. Like we
Right.
have that doesn't mean we can just sit back and like, woo,
Yes.
no, we
Yes.
gotta, that's assuming we carry on doing what we're doing.
Mhm. Aries, the action,
Mm.
right? We've been in Pisces, which is the dream. Neptune at home in Pisces, the dream, envisioning it, praying for it, meditating for it, dreaming about it, putting it out there, seeing it in movies, songs. But Aries is that we're going to do this now. We're going to make the community. We're going to make the system. Oh, those people aren't being held to account. Okay, let's actually, like, kind of like using the Alberta example again, a lot of people are having a feeling like we're done with this. We're not
Mhm.
being heard. We're going to do the referendum and we're actually going to take the steps to do it. Right? That's an example of Aries totally. Just want to bring this quote up from Laura Matsu on X. I love this. I saw the other day, and she said, "Since AI is making everyone sound more generic and NPC, I recommend becoming the most unhinged version of yourself, of version of you to counterbalance. Write like a crazy person who hasn't interacted with humanity in years. Break any and all of the rules. Live like a mad drunk poet. Now's your time to channel the weirdest version of you." And I just love that. And that stuck with me. And I think she also said something in an Instagram post like, the more AI the world becomes, the more human I will become. So the
Oh,
more,
what a mantra that is.
yeah,
What a mantra, right?
yeah.
And it kind of drives us back to our humanity because we're like, ooh, this is just, and I've told you, I think before about that I had a vision years ago and it's coming clearer and clearer around the groups of these beta babies, the kids that are coming in the
Mhm.
next year, and how I see there'll be a portion of them that are going to be those Renaissance human beings that are really like their rebellion is going to be low tech or no tech. And isn't that the coolest thing to imagine?
Right.
Like these Renaissance kids coming
So
in and
cool.
just going, yeah, we're going back
Oh,
to
yeah.
all the good stuff, but they're not, you see, they're not just going back and doing it the way the boomers did in the 60s.
Mm,
They are like indigo kids beyond the beyond. Like they are the
right.
next evolution of that. So they're going to be extraordinary, creative. Like I
Love
just
that.
get, like golden age creative kids coming in.
Mhm.
So,
Oh
and
my
not
god.
all of them, unfortunately, right? Like some will have contracted to come in and go the other way. And
Yep.
it's, yeah, we just got to pray for the very best outcome and for every soul to get the experience that it's needing.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. What an interesting conversation we're all having here today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're getting to the end of the show, near the hour mark. How do you want to finish up, Ashal? Is there something that else you want to look at with the cards, or do we feel complete? What do you think?
Um, let's just pull a single card for each of the
Yeah.
four
Okay.
signs.
Sounds good. Okay. So we'll start with the fire signs, which is our Aries, Leo, and Saggies.
Mhm. Fire signs this upcoming week. Single card. Oh, look at
Oh
that. Ace of
my
Cups.
God.
So, renewal in your emotional life. Receive the gift. A blessing is coming to you that will help you feel more emotionally full, grateful, unconditional love. Beautiful.
Mm, that is beautiful. Thank you. And our earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn.
Earth signs. Okay, so the
Mm,
earth signs are completing something. Now, it looks a bit tiresome and weary. The fellow looks like, ooh, he's been through it.
mhm,
However, I call this the resume card. And what I mean by that is you're gathering, it's a synthesis. Nines are a synthesis. So this is the gathering your energy from what you've done in the past and just distilling the best parts of it. So you're basically sorting out your energy this week, earth
Mm,
signs, and you're choosing how to maybe be a little bit more discerning and efficient with how you work with your energy going forward in the next week. So it's a great card, actually.
love that. That's awesome. And our air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius.
Air signs. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. So, I mean, interesting. Frequency, light, sunlight, outdoors, gratitude, generosity, be your big, bold self. I mean, it's the boldest card in the tarot.
Mm,
So, yeah, there's the only caveat with the sun as a soul character is it burns pretty hot.
mhm,
So you could be full of energy, full of ideas, lots of enthusiasm, maybe a burst of like, feeling a sense of renewal. And the only real warning is just like staying out in the sun too long, you know,
mhm.
just you don't just because we're all starved for it doesn't mean you have to like overdo it. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Okay. And last but not least, we have our water signs,
Mm.
Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces.
One more. Oh, look at
Ooh.
that. Another renewal. So the sun and
Mm,
the star and the ace of cups, like 3 out of the 4 are major arcana. Oh, no, sorry, the ace of cups. So 2 minors and 2 majors. Um, and like I said, that 9 of wands, that's not a bad card. We just need to reframe what we're thinking about it. But look
mhm,
at this, water signs. Harmonious balance, again, another form of shining, a real sense of, there's a feeling of purity when I look at this, like
mm.
your pure, watery nature, your pure compassion, um, your pure emotional wisdom and depth, intuition, all of those things. It's highlighted this week.
Wow.
So it could be, and one of the things we do see with the star, and we've seen this for water signs the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think, haven't we, Meg?
Mhm.
A real opening to more vulnerability.
Ooh,
Mhm,
nice. I love that.
mhm. Yeah.
Yay. Thank you so much, Ashala. I know everyone in the comments loves when we do those quick little 1 cards for all the sign groups.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. And before we finish up, Carla over at Ascension Orgonites has her Father's Day giveaway sale happening, valid until June 15th. You can use code Father's Day to get 25% off, and you can take the steps in the slide there. You might want to screenshot that to put your entries in for the giveaway. So happy almost Father's Day as well. And again, if you'd like to have a personal reading with Ashala or myself, you can check those out at consultations.beyondmystic.net. And for the rest of the week here on Beyond Mystic, what have we got going on tomorrow? We've got the Daily Astro Show. I'm going to be doing, Jens will be doing his Expanding Consciousness. And then, of course, the Beyond the News on the IEP with JC and Janine. Ashala is going to have, oh, you're going to do an Intuition Fridays this Friday. Cool.
Nope, we're
Oh,
not.
no. Oh, you're not. Okay, sorry about that. Cancel for delete. No, you're not. Okay.
Switcheroo. Yeah.
Switcheroo. Okay, you're doing your Psychic Tarot show on
On
Saturday
Saturday.
at
Yeah.
4 p.m. Eastern. So thank you, Ashala. always a pleasure to spend time with you,
My
and looking forward to next time when we will be in June. Yay!
pleasure.
Summer is coming in the Northern Hemisphere. So love you all very, very much. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.